It's fourth quarter, 2021, and I'm leaning in. I'm giving it everything that I've got, and I know that I'm not alone. People are rising. Truth is rising. Power and potential is rising like never before. If only they knew. If they knew how powerful they were, if they knew they had the power to heal themselves, if they knew that there's miracles within them just waiting to manifest. If only you knew. If only I knew. And there is sacred space between conversations where you ask the question, what's the one thing you wish humanity knew? And the answer that comes from people's experiences, their stories, their challenges, their victories, their heartaches. We all have medicine. We all have sacred something within us. And when we share it with one another, that, my friends, is where the magic lies. And fourth quarter, 2021, I'm coming for you. I'm bringing you some of my favorite humans on this planet, the ones that are doing the work, braving the dark, and bringing the light. So let's get started with another episode of If They Knew. Hey everybody, it is Dr. Devin, and I feel like this episode has been many years, many magical, precious moments in the making. This woman, right? Like we bump into humans and we sometimes get this feeling of like, I know you, like I've met you before, like, and we see ourselves, we see our fire element as it might be in one another. And this woman, this doctor, this chiropractor, this wife, this warrior, this pick one of the amazing ways she shows up in the world labels is one of my favorite humans on the planet. And, we all know that there's work to be done on the planet. And the main reason why I invited her today is like, she's an action-oriented human and she's ready to get in. She's ready to get messy. She's ready to lift the heavy weights. Please welcome Dr. Leslie to If They Knew.
Hey guys, thanks Devin. All that right back at you. My sister in fire for sure.
You think about how many things had to happen to lead us to today.
Yeah.
And one of the things that chiropractors you'll hear us talk about is this idea of innate, right? That there is a universal force and intelligence at play. And I believe that, us meeting was not by chance.
No.
I believe that every conversations we've had up until this point was not an accident. And we don't plan this. We don't script it. We trust innate. We trust this intelligence beyond us to show up in a conversation like this and provide value to the communities that trust us. So Step one, for the people who don't know you yet, but are going to love you as much as I do, tell them who you are, where you're at in the world, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Leslie Hiles. I currently reside in a place we like to call almost heaven, West Virginia. Beautiful land, beautiful country. Doesn't get any better than this. I have my own practice, part-time practice in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. And then I'm also an associate just across the border here in Virginia in Winchester, Virginia. I have a bonus child. She's one of my favorite humans. I learned so much from her and I'm just in awe at things that, sometimes you think when you're working with kids and as a parent, like, are they really listening to the things I'm saying? And then you hear conversations and it's like, yeah, they get it. Right. I'm just, I'm here in the world. I'm ready to take the world on, I finally have figured out what my calling is. It goes back to what my why is and why I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a journey, right? Of waking up. And so I know, like me, because we've had this conversation in that, like, we'll go to different events and different conferences and you hear that, gosh, if they just knew what we knew, then they might do what we do. And it's almost maddening on a daily basis to all be looking at the same thing, but no one sees the same thing. Yeah. And we, through chiropractic school and through, you and I have both been burned by fires. We've been, bent and broken in different life experiences, probably part of what drew us to one another. But a lot of what we've learned has provided great value to see and navigate the time we're living in. And so I bet we could pick 1,000 different things that we just wish people got. If they just got that one thing, if they knew that big idea, it would change everything. But let's pick one today. Narrow it down. What's been one of the biggest ideas for you that you believe could really change the trajectory for humanity?
One of the biggest things for me personally is the idea that you can be a free thinker, that we don't have to fit in these boxes and these molds. Question authority. Don't be afraid to question authority, right? We're all indoctrinated by something. Even you and I, Devin, right? We're indoctrinated by our chiropractic schools. We're indoctrinated, or, our kids are indoctrinated by public schools. We're all indoctrinated by something, whether it be family, whether it be religion, whether it be education. So I just encourage everyone to be a free thinker and step outside of that. I oftentimes, I'll just be in the house having conversations with myself and debating myself even. And my husband will always say, are you talking to me? Who are you talking to? No, just myself, because I try to even just bounce those off, right? Because even my indoctrination limits me sometimes to how I think. And so even in myself, I try to step back and say, okay, if I were this other person on the other side, how would I take what I'm saying? And how could I debate that within myself, right? Because I believe just being a free thinker and stepping outside of what we've been indoctrinated with is what's really going to step us closer, get us closer to the step of God's ultimate law, right? Love one another, right? That's all he wants us to do, is love one another. And so, approaching things with an open mind and remembering that we too are indoctrinated and we too have our own beliefs, everyone is. So we're all in this together. We truly, truly are. We may not be on the same wavelength together, but we're all in this together. And we just really need to think freely and love one another more. So that would probably be the biggest lesson I've learned this past year.
Yeah. And it's not easy.
No.
Oof. And it introduces you, it looks like it's a problem out there, but it really just introduces you to your own triggers.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're humble enough to put down the us and them, right? Yep. And that I think is one of the biggest facades and takes us so far away from truth. And, I know Zach Bush has said it, if we become anti, then we're actually only feeding the thing that we're against, right? Yeah. And so to create new roads, right? Like talk me through, like give us the vision of let's pretend, right? Humanity wakes up tomorrow and we're all more understanding. We're all like kind of coming out of our boxes. Our hearts and minds are more open. What would that allow us to do? How would that change the landscape?
Oh man, so many things. First of all, just within our own communities, right? I mean, think of the impact that can have just in our own communities. What changes the future generations now, right? If we teach our kids instead of thinking one way, how is that going to change the future generations, right? I mean, we use the quote all the time from B.J. Palmer: what we say, think, do today, we never know how that's going to impact millions tomorrow, right? So what that can change within our communities and the future of our world. I've heard, I had a friend one time quote something. He said, oftentimes we talk about what kind of earth we're leaving for our kids, when we need to take a step back and really say, what kind of kids are we leaving for our earth, right? So the impact that can have.
Say that again.
Yeah. So instead of thinking, what kind of earth are we leaving our kids, take a step back and think, what kind of kids are we leaving our earth, right? Because ultimately that's what it's all about. Yeah.
And that perspective shift, right? I mean, because it is so easy to get in this, shake my fist at the way of the world, but we can't control that.
Yeah.
But we can, right? We can look at, our own choices and the types of humans that we will hand this planet to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now kids are, now this has come up multiple times and I know it's big on our both of our hearts. You actually talked about this on a call last week of showing up for kids right now. right? What's that look like? Take us into, how do we action that? How do we set a better example? What do you feel we do need to do, say, and set up for this next generation?
All right. One of the biggest things, growing up is, one of the things that I totally appreciate my mom for. She didn't, I would say she didn't indoctrinate us, right? She encouraged us to find our own thing, right? Read things, experience things, find our own thing so that we can create our own experiences, right? And through our own experiences and through those children's eyes and what they see as that experience, that's going to lay the foundation for what type of human they are in the future, right? And so instead of just, trying to teach our kids one way, take a step back and show them both ways, right? We can go into politics a little bit. Politics is always a big conversation, right? And I have so many friends that, have told me, oh, I vote Republican because my family's Republican. I vote Democrat because my family's Democrat, right? Mm-hmm. Or they look at, ethnicity or religion, and that's the way they vote. When in reality, just like us, we're indoctrinated, so are our politicians, right? And so, again, just being more of an open thinker and looking at both sides. It's a very unique situation here in West Virginia where we have a lot of flip-flopping of partying. And so, our governor has been a Democrat, he's been a Republican. They like to be whatever they can be in the time that fits them most, right? So instead of teaching our kids that this is the way it should be, encourage them to explore other ways, right? Explore the world, get out and see things. Let our kids be kids again, right? We've taken so much of childhood away from them.
And you have felt this, I'm sure, in your practice. Like when kids come in to get adjusted, I a lot of times feel like I get more out of it than they do.
Yeah.
Because they remind me to be playful and curious and to be in the moment, right? Instead of planning for the next thing. And we can learn so much from our kids. And I think curiosity is at the heart of what you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
And we need to get curious about, what if we're all wrong, right? Yeah. And really, like Joe Dispenza would say, we're creating today by what we learned yesterday, right? Yeah. So we're just recreating. That's why humanity, there's nothing new, right? We just keep recreating the same experiences with different players of the game. So this allows us to manifest new miracles if we let go, or at least we challenge our own beliefs. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
And it's that curiosity that's, can, and we have to be careful here, right? Because curiosity can also lead us down some vicious cycles, right? I have the tendency to sometimes go down those rabbit holes because of my curiosity. And sometimes those rabbit holes can get you stuck in a bad place, right? And it can feed more negativity and hate and violence, really. So there's a fine line between, being curiosity for the greater good and being curious to try to fight someone, right? And defend a stance.
And so, like you said, because if a compassionate human can see the sides of both coins, right? So how do you know when you land at truth? How do you tap into that trust within yourself?
Right. And it's all here. It's all right here, right? And what may be my truth might not be your truth. Right? It's all right here. And we have to, get back to trusting what's in our hearts and what our intuitions, what that spirit is telling us, right? And it doesn't matter what you call it, Holy Spirit, intuition, innate, it's all in here. Listen to that. Don't override that, because ultimately we are our own best advocates. No one is going to fight for you and your family like you are. Right. And so that goes back to that free thinking, question everything, be your own best advocate, but listen and hear. If this is telling you something is wrong, listen to it. If it's telling you something is right, listen to it. So I always just take a moment, get quiet and just pray and meditate and just ask for guidance. Okay, tell me what's the right thing to do. What feels right in my soul? And if it feels right for me, then that's what I go with.
Yeah. And the reality is, we don't know what tomorrow brings, right? So when I think that's part of the medicine of this time is to learn to trust our conversations with God more, to learn to trust our own intuitions more. And in the process, learn to trust each other more, right?
Yeah,
like we're at such odds with one another because we don't see and feel the same things. We're going to have some patience and compassion.
Yeah.
Now we could talk about this for days. Paint me a picture, because I hear everybody saying it's going to get harder, it's going to get heavier, and we feel that. But walk me through the other side. What do you see for humanity? What possibilities lay ahead?
Man, I really see an awakening happening right now. I really, really, truly do. You know, and I have to take a step back, right? Because we can read history, but do we really know that's history? We don't. We weren't there, right? We can, you know, you can even read the Bible and interpret it different ways. I mean, look how many denominations we have just within Christianity because interpretations of the Bible, right? And so it
right.
Yeah. So, you know, all right, where am I going with it?
Good. You're good. Like, I mean, it's so easy for me to like create segments in that, like,
yeah, right. And so learn from those things, right? We still, and that's important too. We've gone away from learning from history, and we have, you know, the cancel culture, and those are important things to learn from, right? Learn from the history, but ultimately we control our own reality, right?
Yeah.
Freedom is really a state of mind, if you think about it, right? Mm-hmm. Take a step back and ask yourself, when is the last time a sitting president has ever really impacted you on a daily basis? Have they changed your world that much, right? And so I really see a big awakening happening because people are questioning things. People are questioning authority, which I encourage, absolutely question authority, right? People are questioning science, which we should be. Science is about questions. You know, this whole thing about don't question the science. I mean, isn't that what science is, right? And even question laws by man, right? We can go there. I always go back to, like I said, my number one law that I follow is love one another, right? Mm-hmm. Love God and love one another. And so the future I see, I agree. I do agree that I think things are going to get worse before they get better. Mm-hmm. But it's a breaking down of old paradigm. Mm-hmm. Right? In order to rebuild, we have to tear these things down. Our systems are broken. We've talked about it all the time. Our healthcare system is broken. Our food system is broken. I mean, the fact that a single mom can feed her whole family with a $5 crappy frozen pizza and can't afford to buy them fruits and vegetables, that's a broken system, right? Mm-hmm. Our medicine is broken. Our government is broken. Our public schools are broken. Everything is broken, but it has to break to be rebuilt, right? We have to tear it down to rebuild it.
And it's perspective. It's crisis or it's opportunity, right? Yeah. It is, if we can zoom out, like you're saying, and as you're going through those different systems, I almost feel like, you know, if we see healthcare as like a little kid to come here, let me love on you for a second. Like, because I think that it's tempting to just go, well, that didn't work. Let's reinvent the whole thing. And really it's just, we're a little sick and we need some healing, right? Maybe an adjustment will help, or a few million adjustments will help us. And heal, you know, another one of our chiropractic principles, healing takes time.
Yeah.
So if I make it tactical, practical, and I mean, my last question here is, how do you stay sane? How do you stay joyful? How do you stay rooted in faith and peace? Today is actually International Peace Day. And I think that's part of what chiropractic does, is it helps restore homeostasis. It creates harmony. It puts us back in a state of ease and peace. So how do you do that for yourself, for your family, in times like this?
First and foremost is pray. Mm-hmm. Pray, man. Pray about it. All right. You know, I don't make a lot of decisions without praying about it first. Because as I said earlier, it's got to feel right here. Right. And if I pray about it, it's going to feel right here, no matter what I decide to do. So, you know, and prayer can be anything, right? It can be meditation. It can be, you know, walking and just talking to God, talking to nature, whatever it might be for you. Get quiet and just pray and listen. All right. sometimes, and I know I'm bad about it too. I get on these roles. I talk, and I want to figure it all out, and I want to solve all the problems, and I'm not listening with this, right? And this and this. It's only here, not here, right? So we've got to connect all three, and that's something we teach in chiropractic, right? Connecting that mind, body, spirit. That's what an adjustment can do. Connect all three for us. So that's the second thing. Get adjusted. Get adjusted. Clear your nervous system. Always, always, always clear the nervous system so that you can have that mind, body, spirit connection, right? So pray, get adjusted. Going back to prayer, just being quiet, like I said, quiet prayer, getting adjusted, and turn off the noise, right? I make it a point at least one day a weekend. There's no social media. There's nothing. Right? It's family time. It's especially in the summer, the fall, it's fall here. It's beautiful. Get outside. The leaves are going to start turning colors. Turn the world off and reconnect with yourself, your family, and with God and nature. Like I always, always encourage that. Just that's the biggest keys for me to stay grounded.
And if we ground and get curious, then when you re-enter the world, you re-enter a more clear version of yourself.
Exactly.
And I think what we'll leave this here and pick it up in a part 2 is like, this is, for me, it feels like maybe the boomerang where or not boomerang, the slingshot where, we're talking about how slow down and steady your aim, right? Because it gets so noisy and it gets so chaotic. We can't see our way through it. We have to first get it in ourselves first, then move. Because I do want to take this into that fire element where it is like, where it is not waging war against the breaking apart or the old paradigms. That's already done. But how do you pull up your sleeves to get to work to be an active participant in creating a new way forward? And that'll be what you and I pick up next time that, like, how do we do it in our practices? How do we do it for our families? How do we do it when becoming part of local organizations? I know you're looking at getting into your schools and helping get kids adjusted, which is in total alignment with, what kind of kids are we leaving to this earth, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's not just say it, right? Podcasts and these big ideas get really airy-fairy sometimes. And I don't know about you, but in my practice, I have countless people. What can I do? What can I do? I have so many practice members and family members going like, what do I do? What do I do? Step 1 is all the things you just said. Pray, get in nature, get adjusted, get still, listen. And then when you are ready, then it's make your move.
Yep. Yeah. And it goes back to for me that, that quote I just said, what kind of kids are we leaving for our earth, right? For our future earth. And that's where it starts, right? Starts with the kids. And that's why I do have a passion. And that's where, I take a step back and I say, okay, every time I lay my hands on someone, whether, mostly kids, when it is a kid, it's like, how am I impacting this kid to impact the community, to impact the state, to impact the world, right? Because that's ultimately what we're doing. We're changing the dynamics of how this kid sees the world and how this kid functions in the world. And so impacting the kids has always been a big thing for me because whatever the future is, it's in the hands of them. It's not in the hands of me anymore, right? I can only do what I can do today, but for future generations, we have to reach out to them as well.
And guys, they've gone through a lot, right? Like with the chaos and the discord and the masks and all of it, like the distancing, the isolation, mental health is a real dragon right now. It's real. And so don't ever underestimate making eye contact with a child at the grocery store. Don't underestimate saying like, you're so beautiful, you're so powerful. Don't underestimate speaking life into these little tiny humans and hugging them every chance that you get and lifting parents up, because we can get so consumed with what we're going through that we completely miss what they're experiencing. And so we got to show up for one another and love on our kids and love on the inner child inside of each of us, right? That's why we cling to safety and fear, is because we're all just big kid versions of our inner child, right? And so I'm excited for part 2, where we'll take this into nitty gritty. But guys, the value is this. I did 3 episodes right before this one, and everyone's kind of saying the same things. Get quiet, heal you. If you want to change the world, change yourself. So I love this because it reinforces that heartbeat that you're the answer.
Yep.
You're the hero, you're the power. And if people got that right, if they knew what we knew, if they knew how powerful they were, if I knew how powerful I am, right? Like that, and stepping into that and dancing it. So thank you for the way that you shared it, that quote about kids, and, reminder of the golden rule to love one another. We get to choose how we participate right now. And so you can be a warrior for the future and be a kind, compassionate, amazing human being. And Leslie is a testament to that. So how do people connect with you if this speaks to their soul, or if they're in Virginia area, that almost heaven area, if they need a good answer, how do they find you?
So first of all, I have to clarify. I work in Virginia, but I live in West Virginia. It's not Virginia. Right? We're our own state here. But you can find me on all the social media, right? Instagram, Leslie_Nicole47 on Instagram, and Facebook, Leslie Hiles on Facebook. You can always email me, info@drlesliehiles.com, DR for doctor. I'm on Telegram also, Leslie Hiles on Telegram. Reach out, man. Reach out. One of my favorite things to do is just help people, right? Help people and just give them hope for the future, hope for humanity. Right now, there is not a lot of hope coming from other places, right? The news is all fear mongering. Our politicians are all fear mongering. So reach out if you need some help. I'm always here.
Amen, sister. And guys, that is the thing. That's the name of the game right now, is stay in that hopeful place where we believe and trust that even though we can't see the other side of this, we're gonna make it. So Leslie, thank you for your time today. I'm excited to play with my, page of crazy notes. The magic that gets created in conversation. And guys, wherever you're at, call a friend, text your mom, take your dad out to dinner, pick a friend, reach out to your, healthcare practitioner, get your tribe really steady and ready around you, and know you're not alone. And if either of us can support you in any way, we're here.
Yep.
So I love you. I look forward to part 2. We'll get that nailed down sooner rather than later, because I think it also is going to take enough of us putting our money literally where our mouth is at, right? Where it's yes, it's namaste and it's get your ass to work, right? Yes. And I know you feel that. So onward, sister. Enjoy practice this afternoon. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ev.
Love you guys. We will be in touch. I will see you next time.
Well, that's a wrap. You have successfully navigated another conversation of if they knew. And if you didn't know before, you know now. I hope that there's something that got shared in this latest conversation that helped wake up and shake up something inside of you, something that takes you closer to healing, something that helps you grow, something that pushes you, supports you, encourages you along your own healing and happiness journey. Because, they were right about one thing. We are in this thing together, and in sharing our stories, in lifting one another up, in shining our light forward, that is how we create the future we all know is possible. So I want to hear if you have any requests. I want to hear what your favorite takeaways were. I hope that you share this with a friend or family member. Come play with me on social. Please reach out to me if there's anything that I can do to support you, or if you have any follow-up questions at all. We are only just getting started, my friends. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings your way. And remember, we were born for such a time as this, and we are expecting miracles. I'll see you soon.